something something Volvo gravy something something. What's up guys, it's Drifts and Lifts here. All right, so today's video, I got some exciting stuff to show you guys. So after about a year of messing around, I guess not quite a year, but pretty close to a year of messing around, I finally have something worth showing you guys. So I present you my 86 blue GLE wagon, 740 obviously, that's the only thing we do around here. So I'm just gonna do a walk around of the car, guys. I wanted to show you guys this car once I had it properly tuned, but we came across a few issues. We actually just had it on the dyno not too long ago, and we got some stuff inside the turbo. So shout out to Total Turbo Services. He ended up rebuilding the turbo, putting a different wheel in it. Unfortunately, some sort of debris ended up getting into the wheel and banging it all up. So, but anyways, guys, I'm gonna do a little walk around and show you guys what I have so far. So if you remember the video, I guess it was like 7 months ago now, where I actually bought this blue wagon as well as the gold wagon. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out because it's really cool to see where this cars came from. I've been looking for a clean car for a while, right? I wanted to build something that was like minty, clean, a fresh shell to start with. And that's exactly what this car is. The car wasn't running. It basically had nothing going for it other than the fact it was a clean shell with pretty low kilometers on it. So this car actually had 170,000 kilometers when I got it. So in miles, that's under 100,000, really low, honestly. But where do I start? So let's just walk around this thing right now. As you guys can see, the paint is in really nice shape. I really like this color. Honestly, that was the main reason why I chose this shell over everything to build, was because the color is just so sweet. So I got new taillights in it. Show you guys kind of what it looks like on the outside. Something to note here, I actually got this is a V90 spoiler. So on the Volvo V90s, 1998, they actually had this spoiler here. So I pulled one of those off of a V90 that I saw in a wrecking yard, and I color matched it. This car, just so you guys know, it actually was in an accident at one point, and it had some repairs done on this side. So if you kind of look back here, you can see that the color is slightly different as it goes from the door to the rear quarter panel there. And then you'll notice that the hatch is actually matching paint again. So I actually got a new hatch. I went down to Washington into the Tacoma pick and pull yard, and I found a wagon, actually a 1986 wagon, more or less the same exact car that this one was from the factory. And I pulled a bunch of stuff off it because it was the exact same paint code, and the paint looked about, you know, to be in the same sort of condition. So you guys will notice I got some fenders, and I also have some other parts in my basement there. So pretty cool. It worked out really well because the factory, you know, rear hatch on this wagon had a bunch of aluminum corrosion and that kind of thing. So this one's actually in really good shape. And just like this car was low kilometers, that one in the yard was also super low kilometers. I think it was like 100,000. It was in miles because it was in America, but somewhere around 100,000. So sort of same sort of thing as this wagon was. So if we walk around here, guys, you can see that, you know, the car's in really good shape, honestly. I'm really stoked that I chose this shell to build. I wanted a wagon, and this was kind of the perfect one to start building on, I think. So I guess we'll start with the engine bay. I can pop the hood for you guys. Let's check this out. Oh, and one thing you'll notice is the hood came up really easy when I just opened it there, and that is because it is actually an aluminum hood from a Volvo 740 turbo diesel. So these are super rare, really tough to find, guys. You may remember the video where I went down to Washington in my truck and I ran it on veggie oil, and I went down to get some parts off of Turner, the guy with all the turbo diesel Volvos hanging out there. So I actually got this hood off of him, and shout out to my friend Willis. He actually painted it, color matched it to the body for me professionally. So it's not just some janky paint job. It actually looks really good. Kind of check it out here. Boom, boom, perfect color match. So as far as the engine bay goes, guys, when I first started the build, I pulled the original engine out and I fully cleaned out the whole engine bay, basically detailed it. I had, you know, a lot of degreaser and a pressure washer, and I just went to town on this thing. I think I spent a whole day just detailing this engine bay. So it has been sitting around for a while, indoors and outdoors, so it's not going to be perfect. Like there's some dust over here and stuff, but this engine bay is super clean. So one thing you'll notice is I have like color matched intercooler piping and valve cover. So I just wanted this build to be a little bit, you know, a little better than the ones I've done in the past. I wanted to really up the quality of it and kind of show you guys what I can do if I'm actually like not just building a straight up janky drift car. I wanted this car, you know, if I bring it to like a Volvo show or a car show, that it presents nice and kind of, you know, I pop the hood and it looks pretty good. So you'll notice I actually polished the, I took the intake manifold off and I sandblasted it, and then I painted it with like aluminum paint. So that looks really good. Yeah, this intercooler pipe here is color matched, the same as the hood and the rest of the body. Same with the valve cover there. And you guys will notice this turbo is actually brand new, fresh. So again, shout out to Total Turbo Services, my turbo sponsor of the channel. He rebuilt it again for me and put in a cast wheel this time, so we don't have the billet wheel anymore. We actually wanted to do some testing to see if the cast wheel, I think it actually does better than the billet wheel, at least in this application. But yeah, I think this, you know, the engine bay looks really clean, guys. I'm really stoked on how it turned out. This car actually has, it's ran on a EMU standalone. I guess I should talk about the engine. If you guys are new to the channel, this is the engine out of the panel wagon about a year ago. So this is a 1994 bottom end with oil squirters. It's got H-beam connecting rods from Max Peating Rods, actually, with ARP hardware. It's got a 531 head. And this was actually done by my friend Dennis Blom in Sweden. So this head is ported, it has stock valves in it. It's also shaved a bunch. So this car being on ethanol, it is fairly high compression. It's like 10.5 to 1. It makes it really good off of boost, quite responsive. It's honestly a really solid ass engine, and we were making some pretty good power, and we're gonna get it back on the dyno and run it up again once we, you know, put my intercooler piping on and get a bit of time to bring it down to post-haste performance. But you know, we're gonna hope to make kind of in the 400 to 450 range with this engine on like a shit ton of boost, probably 30 plus pounds, 35 pounds maybe, something like that. So but yeah, I got an IPD adjustable cam gear on it so we can get the timing in spec. I actually had an exhaust on this car, but I took it off when we were on the dyno because I had a hunch that it was restricting the system and, you know, bringing us down on power. It ended up not being the case, and it was kind of a waste because I chopped my really sweet exhaust that I built off. But that's all right, I can put that back on, no worries. What else in the engine bay? I got an MSD blaster coil. One upgrade I do want to do to this car is shout out to Yoshi Fab, guys. If you don't know of Yoshi Fab, he's a company that makes tons of really cool parts for anybody trying to build a proper red block or any other engine into a Volvo. A lot of custom parts that you will need kind of to build a proper Volvo build. So I want to get Yoshi Fab's coil-on plug setup. So he actually has a coil-on plug setup where you run ignition coils instead of, coil packs instead of one single ignition coil, as well as the distributor. So that's in the future because we were getting spark blowout on the dyno once we ran it up to really high boost. So that's another thing we can worry about in the future. I guess we'll talk about, one more thing in the engine bay. It's got a DO88 intercooler, and these intercoolers are really, really good. They work super well. Another thing I should mention is I'm actually running a 4-bar fuel pressure regulator. So this is actually a fuel pressure regulator from like an old turbo Dodge, like the 2.5 liter Daytona turbo cars and that thing. They have the same fuel pressure regulator design as the Volvo engines, but instead of being a 3-bar regulator, this one's a 4-bar. So it gives us a little more fuel in the top end. I'm running a Walbro 525 Hellcat pump in this car. So as far as the fuel pump goes, it's pretty solid. We got our Vibrant catch can, and actually that is run, if you can't really, sorry you guys can't really see, but the bottom of that is ran back down to the block. So if anything, you know, if oil comes in here, there's a baffle in here, and then any oil that spews up will go back down into the pan. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it for the engine bay side of things, guys. Putting that extra little bit of detail into it really goes a long ways. All I gotta say is I'm so stoked that I found myself an aluminum hood, because honestly, guys, these are, I don't know about, let me know, because I've never really looked into it as far as how rare these hoods are in Sweden. But the reason this is so hard to find in North America is because they only came on turbo diesel cars. And they only made turbo diesel cars from like 1983 to 1986, I believe, maybe 85 it was. But the other thing is not all 760 turbo diesels came with an aluminum hood. What we've been finding is that it may only be the 740 turbo diesels that came with an aluminum hood, because I have checked out a couple 760 turbo diesels locally that I was trying to get the hoods off of, and the hoods turned out to be steel for some reason. So this is an amazingly rare, cool piece, and I'm really stoked that I got a hold of it. If you guys don't know already, this hood weighs, I think, like 20 pounds less than the steel hood. So it's like super light. When I had this thing off and moving it around, putting it on the car, it felt like absolutely nothing. I think the total weight for this hood's like 19 or 18 or 19 pounds around there. I actually cut the center bracing out because when I got the hood, it had a dent in it right here. And the only thing that was really holding that dent in was this glue as well as the bracing. So taking that out, the dent actually just popped itself back out and the hood is in perfect shape now. So really stoked on that. I think it's a really nice kind of rare, clean touch to the car. So I guess we'll go to suspension. I'll kind of let you guys know about that. Nothing really to it, really, you know, it's really similar to all the other cars I've built. BC Racing coilovers. We have a TXR knuckle kit in this car, but I'm going to be designing my own knuckle kit pretty soon here. Just a heads up for you guys, if you're thinking of getting a knuckle kit built or gonna buy one soon, I'm actually gonna start making them really soon. So let me know in the comments if you might be interested in that. All right, so as far as the suspension side of things goes, nothing really to it. Just BC Racing coilovers, like I said, IPD sway bar, all new bushings, IPD strut rod bushings. It's basically as far as you go. On the back, we have obviously BC coils as well, and we're actually running no sway bar because I figured this car is going to make so much power, we don't really need a sway bar. So I'm actually running polyurethane bushings in the trailing arms. So if we take a little look under here, there we got a polyurethane bushing on the front of the trailing arm, and then we actually have polyurethane axle bushings as well. So those are the big bushings that wrap around the axle that you clamp onto there with the 4 bolts or whatever. So this car is not going to have that wheel hop issue. Hey Volvo, what's up, buddy? So we shouldn't be having that wheel hop issue like I have had in 740s previously a lot of the time. This seems to be the solution. If you're getting wheel hop in your 740, those 2 bushings are what you need. That'll completely solve that. At least it did for me in 2 applications now. So this car, because it was a factory non-turbo automatic, it would have came with a 391 rear end. Now I have a lot of friends with Volvos, and a bunch of them have factory non-turbo manual cars. So the factory non-turbo manual cars came with a 331 rear end. Now a 331 in a car with only 114 horsepower from the factory is very lazy and very slow. So it's actually a perfect trade. If I want a high horsepower application, I want a little bit longer of a differential. And basically I just traded one of my buddies the 391 out of this car for the 331. So I'm running a 331, and also that pairs up with my BMW transmission really nice. I'll get to that in a sec here, what type of tranny we're running. But as far as suspension goes, that's pretty much it, guys. So we'll check out the interior now. This is where I did a ton of work. So you'll notice that I actually have plexiglass windows in here. Lexan, actually they're not plexiglass, they are proper Lexan. So first thing you guys probably notice when I kind of check around here is how extensively gutted it is. So I did an extreme amount of weight reduction in this car. I want this car to be one of the most gnarly performing cars that I've ever driven. So I think if everything goes to plan, I should have it below 2,500 pounds total weight of this car fully loaded. It's going to be stupid light because I've gone more extensive in the weight reduction department than any other car I've ever done. Even things like taking out the sound deadening, that took me all day. Stripped out and peeled out the sound deadening with a heat gun in the summer. I know I could have probably waited till the winter and maybe bashed it out with a hammer, but you know, that's just how I did it, and it took a long time, not gonna lie. A lot of scraping, a lot of heat gun, and a lot of heat. So cut out the rear doors, like I said, Lexan front and rear. The only place we don't have Lexan is this window right here. But these back windows, as well as the front windows, are all Lexan. This one actually fits in here pretty nice because I left in the factory rubber, so it just tucked nicely in there. You know, a couple of self-tappers, and it's holding in there for now. I'll probably do something a little more like legit down the road, but you know, it works for now. So here's another place I did more extensive weight reduction. Obviously there's nothing under the dash. Even like this whole section here is all gone now. We don't even have the wiper or signal stock left on the steering column there. All that is gone. This car doesn't have wipers or signals currently. I'm only gonna be driving this car on nice days, you know, for a drift event and that kind of thing. So I'm not gonna be doing like snow drifting stuff in it probably. So, you know, I don't really need that stuff. We'll get around to it at a later date, but for now, I actually just gutted the whole factory wiring of this car. So all the factory wiring is all gutted out, and actually it was a fairly good weight reduction. I want to say about 40 pounds of factory wiring came out of this thing, a giant rat's nest of wiring. So felt pretty nice to get rid of that. In return for a very simple, all we have wired is the headlights and the taillights, and obviously the Emu Black that we're running for the engine. So yeah, the only place I missed the sound deadening, I think I got lazy, is right on the firewall here, just 2 little spots, but the rest of the car, no more sound deadening. So you guys will probably notice I have a Fish Racing Tech Hydro e-brake. So shout out to Fish Racing Tech. They actually give me a code to use if you guys want 10% off one of these e-brakes, one of the sickest e-brakes on the market. Use the code Drifts and Lifts to cop yours. The website to get one of these is in the description of this video, so check them out. But yeah, I actually never had a proper Hydro e-brake in a Volvo, so we're actually running a dual caliper setup with TXR dual caliper brackets with a factory Volvo 740 rear caliper. It works pretty good. When I drove the car here from the shop, I tested it out a few times and it felt really good. So pretty stoked on that. I like the fitment of it. It's in a really nice spot. So just like my gold car here, guys, the Blue Wagon is running a BMW ZF 5-speed transmission. So I got the TXR shifter right here and hooked up to the ZF 5-speed. This drivetrain setup with the 331 rear end and this amount of horsepower, I think should be like perfect. So come around here to the driver's side. I got a Momo Prototipo wheel, so a really sweet, high quality wheel. Looks like it got a little bunged up from kicking around, but you know, really sweet wheel. I'm a big fan of this. I think it kind of fits the old school look of this car. Pretty sweet. We got our NRG bucket in it. So honestly, not my favorite bucket. They're not the highest quality. But they're not too bad, and honestly for the price you definitely can't go wrong. They're definitely one of the cheapest buckets around that are still fairly good quality for what they are. So I'm going to be running a tablet in place of the factory cluster. That's going to be hooked up to the Emu. We're going to be able to see our RPM and our speed and our boost and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be on one big screen. So that's a plan for a later date once I can get that hooked up. So that's the reason we don't have a dash cluster in there right now. But one cool thing about this car, guys, it's got the full blue dash. So some of the 740s came with like the top black and then the bottom blue, or vice versa. This one's like the all blue. So I think this only came in like earlier cars. But yeah, just kind of a cool feature. I really like how this car is all blue. And honestly, once I have this a little more complete and the weather's a bit better, I'm going to be taking out the seats and fully painting the interior. So I'm going to be scrubbing all this grime, all the glue from where I took up the sound deadening, and I'll be painting it color matched blue on the interior as well to make it look more clean. Should look pretty sweet. So one more thing I got, guys, is these factory Volvo mud flaps. I think they kind of fit the car. They make it look like kind of like a rally car, I guess. I don't know. I'm a big fan of mud flaps, so I actually have a set on my gold car as well. Makes them look kind of rally car, kind of dope. But yeah, guys, so that's pretty much what I got going on with the wagon so far. So I've been excited to show you guys this. I wanted to have it running so I could like go for a rip on the first video, but honestly, I'm just too excited and I wanted to show you guys this in the meantime. So probably another week or two before we actually get this back on the dyno and, you know, spooled back up so I can daily drive it, or not daily it, but cruise it around and kind of enjoy it. But yeah, overall, guys, we're really close. As we, you know, we're about 95% done this build. So yeah, I guess one more thing I didn't mention, guys, is this turbo grill. So this is an old school gerbo grill, and this one, actually, I don't know if it was off of a turbo car factory. I think this was from a GLE. So it has the chrome on the outside and then black on the inside. And then with the turbo in the middle there, I think it looks pretty darn sweet. The headlights on this car, I made sure I kept a nice clean set with good blinkers and stuff, because a lot of the time I will sell these to guys in Europe and stuff, but I got to keep a couple nice sets for my cars, because you know, it's not really fun having these all smashed out. They don't really last that long. They're pretty brittle. Those lights will definitely smash quite easily, and a lot of Volvos you'll see will have them smashed out. But so one thing I forgot to mention, guys, is I actually relocated the battery to the trunk area. So the reason I did that is for weight distribution. I want this car to be really close to 50-50 weight distribution. So if we can take a little bit of weight from the front and put it in the back, these cars are kind of biased to the front. I know from the factory they are a little bit more heavy in the front than they are in the rear. So by moving the battery to the back, I'm hoping we can get fairly close to that 50-50 weight distribution. So this is going to be good because, you know, when I'm drifting, it's nice to actually have some traction. A car that's 50-50 weight distribution when drifting is generally going to be fairly fast and balanced and feel pretty nice. So I figured if we were going to take it all out and redo the wiring harness, probably be a good idea to put the battery in the back. So as lame as it has been not having a proper turbo car on the road, not gonna lie, I have been having a ton of fun in the Gold car here. Something about the low horsepower, really short gearing is honestly just a ton of fun to drive. The chassis is really well set up in this car, so but I'm not gonna lie, I am super pumped to get this car on the road and finally start ripping it around, you know, doing some videos, some cool drifting videos in it. We'll have to take it up the toge perhaps. Anyways, guys, so that's pretty much a wrap up of today's video. I just wanted to show you guys the wagon, obviously. Lots of stuff to come for the channel. We're gonna be getting this thing on the road soon, and we got some big plans for the Gold car as well, and also potentially gonna be making some angle kits for these cars. So let me know in the comments if you guys would be interested in something like that. And don't forget to check out the Drifts and Lifts store if you guys want to support the channel. We have merchandise on the store. You can get that link to the store is in the description of this video, so check it out. We got our Volvo Drift beer shirts up for sale again. They've been away for a long time, so yeah, check them out. And thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe for blue Volvo balls. Peace out.